Hello guys, welcome to my channel. This is Crime Tales, where we bring to you non-fictional tales. Every story spoken on this channel are based on true life events. Don't forget to subscribe, follow and like our videos. Thank you. So today we're going to be talking about massacre that happened on the 9th of July 2019 in Nairobi, Kenya, where a family of four were all massacred in their home, which consists of the father, the mother and two kids. On this particular day, on the 9th of July 2019 in Nairobi, Kenya, people were around because this family, the wife was into food vending business, and people were around concerned to get food from her, and nobody was around out for business. They decided to go check up on her in her home, and that was where they found the whole family massacred in their home. So this brought about mystery, and everybody was surprised. And what could really have happened to this family? How did they die without anybody hearing noises or screams in the neighborhood? It was a mystery that needed to be unfolded. It was said that Joyce Wanjiru, who is the mother of this family, and Joseph Gital, who is known as the father, it was said that Joyce Wanjiru is very friendly, she is jovial, but she was easily irritated. That is, she had a temper issue. That was just one flaw about Joyce Wanjiru. Then for Joseph Gital was a man who was very responsible. He was family oriented. He would do literally, he could do anything for his family, to provide for his family. And that was who Joseph Gital was. Joyce Wanjiru came to Nairobi, Kenya in the year 2008. She just came out from rural areas and decided to come out for greener pastures, and she came and decided to live in Nairobi. Not long after, she started her food vending business. Then she moved to Mabruru, in which she continued this same business. Then Joseph Gital was someone who also came out from rural areas, also seeking for greener pastures, and decided to come to Nairobi. Then he moved to Maruri, where he was employed as a gardener in a company, and that was where Joseph Gital and Joyce Wanjiru met and fell in love. And they fell in love and decided to live as husband and wife. And this relationship lasted for 10 years, which brought forth offspring of Jane, which was 7 years, and Michael, who was 3. So they were a family of 4: Joyce Wanjiru, Joseph Gital, Jane, and Michael. It was said that they were living a perfect life. This family, the woman was someone who was a food vendor. Joseph Gital was a laborer, a gardener, and that was how they were getting by with life. On this fateful day, on the 9th of July 2019, it seemed like a usual day for everybody around, and they came out in the morning to get food from Joyce, who was a food vendor. And they came out and noticed that Joyce wasn't out yet. They waited for a while and was like, okay, let's wait for a while. Probably she was still busy at home with the whole food. And they waited and waited. Joyce wasn't still out. And that's when a few members of the neighbor were like, okay, let's go to her house to see probably if she's still cooking. And on getting to the home, they knocked. Nobody was answering. Nobody was coming to get the door. They decided to barge into the home. And when they barged into the home, that was when they saw a very terrible sight. A sight that was so gruesome. Joseph Gital was laying on the bed full of blood. He had several stab wounds all over his body. The first child was on a couch lying lifeless, followed by the second child, Michael. He was in his little bed, also lifeless. And the mother, Joyce Wanjiru. Joyce was up on the roof with a cloth as someone who has committed suicide. So it was a terrible sight, and everybody alarmed everybody in the neighborhood, and they got the police, and the police came over and took these corpses out. And during investigation, that was when the inspector who was in charge of the case came out to tell everybody a shocking news that people didn't know about the family. It was said that Joseph Gitao was always being beaten by his wife. And how did this inspector know? He said Joseph had come to the police station occasionally to search for police and everything. And whenever he goes to the police station, they come in, settle their cases, and whenever they try to take up this case, Joseph would always beg the police to drop the case. Why? He didn't want the public to know that he was being beaten by his wife. He didn't want the public to know that he was facing domestic abuse in his home. In his own home, he was being violated and being abused by his wife. So he didn't want this public to know about this humiliation and embarrassment. And he didn't want the stigma to follow him up. So he was always quiet about it. And that was when his childhood friend named Stephen Kariuki was so mad at Joseph. And he said Joseph was a childhood friend of his. They were people that grew up together. They grew up literally together. They saw themselves every single day, even as an adult. They come to each other's businesses and talk about life and every other thing. But he was so surprised that Joseph had never, ever said anything about the abuse that was going on in his home. Joseph was 37 years old and Joyce Wanjiri was 32 years old. So it was quite confusing. It was said that by his friend Stephen Kariku, he said Joseph was someone that was always outgoing and outspoken. But not long after he got married to Joyce Wanjiru, years later, he noticed that his friend became withdrawn, was no longer outspoken, and he was surprised. He asked his friend what was happening, but the friend always dismissed it as, oh, I'm always busy, I'm facing my business, I do not want to, I don't want people to know my business. And he was mad that this was a friend that he had known for 37 good years, and he never for once spoke about the abuse that was happening in his household. And it was said that Joyce Wanjiri had issues, temper issues. She was easily irritated. Now, on the 9th of July, it was said that the previous day they had an argument, and Joseph thought it was something that would end. After the whole argument, they ended the argument. So he was thinking, oh, probably tomorrow morning we're going to settle it. Let's just sleep. And as they went to bed, Jane, who was 7 years, usually sleeps in the parlor. She went to the couch to lie down there. She lay there and went to bed. And the little boy of 3 went to his own little bed and was asleep. Unknowing to this family of the intentions of the woman, Joyce Wanjiru took an axe and stabbed her husband on the neck. She stabbed her husband behind his neck, and he had several stab wounds all over his body. And after stabbing her husband, Joyce didn't end there. She went ahead, took a tablecloth, went to her daughter's where the daughter was sleeping, went there and strangled this child with a tablecloth. And she did the same thing to her 3-year-old child. And when she was done, she knew that she was in deep soup. She knew that she was not going to get away with this no matter what. She decided to take the easy route. She decided to commit suicide. After killing her husband, killing her 2 kids, she went, took a chair, took a cloth, and hung herself over the rooftop. And that was how the whole family of 4 were massacred by the wife and a mother. This is someone who is supposed to protect her child. This is someone who is supposed to be the backbone of a man. But she allowed anger to take control over her. And when she was done, she must have regretted her act. She decided to end her own life. And that was how the family of 4 died on the 9th of July 2019. This particular story shook the entire country of Kenya because it was so bizarre. It was something that had never really happened in the country before. I know this case seemed seems like a case that has never been said, but let me tell you all, a lot of men a lot of men are going through abuse, and because of the stigma and the embarrassment that they might face, they've always been keeping quiet about this. Please, as a man, if you are facing violence, domestic abuse, physical abuse in your home by your spouse, please, let's learn to speak up. Probably if Joseph have spoken up or probably told a friend about what was happening in his household, probably he would have still been alive and would have saved these children from being dead today. They are no more, and they are all dead. Family of four all died at the same day, on the same day, and that's it. This is so sad. Please, I would like to hear your comments, and don't forget to subscribe and share this video. Thank you.